important environmental planning is for the Philippines. Okay, so let's start with some definition. So, what is environmental planning in the Philippines? So, in the Philippines, environmental planning is emerging as a household term right now, despite it being more known as its synonym, urban planning, because of the issues and problems in uh, cities, especially in the Metro Manila. So the Philippines right now, especially during the COVID-19 pandemic, and as well in the past 5 years or so, because of the different uh, different reasons, namely housing problems, pollution problems, and traffic problems especially. There are more people who are being curious about urban planning. Oh, welcome sa dalawa. Ay naman kayo dyan. So, I have been introducing all about the frequently asked questions of environmental planning, starting with what is environmental planning in the Philippines. So if you have additional questions, maybe you can add more here and the comment lang yung gustong sabihin. Okay? So the main law that covers environmental planning in the Philippines is Republic Act 10587, or the Environmental Planning Act of 2013. It defines environmental planning as synonymous to urban and regional planning, city planning, town and country planning, and human settlements planning. So, nakikita natin dito yung coverage o yung broad scope ng environmental planning in the Philippines. So, one of the reasons also why environmental planning ang ginamit siguro na term is to cover the more broader scope of practice ng mga planners sa Pilipinas. Kasi nga naman, if you just use urban planning, cities lang yon or urban areas lang yon, which even though our country is almost 50 to 60% urban na today, malaki pa rin ang role ng non-urban or yung tinatawag nating rural. Kaya nga merong regional planning na tinatawag. Okay, so ang definition ng environmental planning is the multidisciplinary art and science of analyzing, specifying, clarifying, harmonizing, managing, and regulating the use and development of land and water resources for the development of sustainable communities and ecosystems. So, this definition, art and science, okay? So, how is environmental planning an art? And how is environmental planning a science? Mas madaling sagutin for me as an environmental scientist yung part ng science. So, environmental planning is a science because it follows the scientific method of observation, formulating hypotheses, experimentation, and conclusion. So, you cannot make plans. It's useless to make plans if you do not observe and if you do not analyze the situation, yung experimentation part ng scientific method. Okay, so there are also environmental planners who do modeling techniques, modeling studies for quantitative environmental planning, so transport and traffic especially. So that's the reason why I think environmental planning is a science, because it follows the scientific method of observation, experimentation, and conclusion. Okay, so why is it an art? So it's an art because it is it produces artifacts, or it produces imaginations. So ang isang definition ng art is when people are imagining, uh, laying out their imaginations and leaving it as way na for the people na to see. So that's why it's an art. Environmental planning carries out yung plans through living artifacts in the side of environmental planners. Yung artifacts na tinatawag natin is yung land use arrangements. There may also be transportation patterns. So that's how environmental planning is both an art and a science. Okay, so if you want more, I think you can just read on dun sa EnPTinio.com article ko on what is environmental planning. Okay. So next question for Filipinos na tinatanong just is, dami-dami ng disiplina. There are many things that are being studied. May biology na, may sociology na, may geography pa nga, di ba? Queen of all sciences, pasensya na, geography major kasi ako. So why is environmental planning still so important as a distinct discipline? Okay, so environmental planning is important as a distinct discipline because environmental meaning yung lahat ng nakapaligid sa isang population ang pinag-aaralan dito sa disiplina na ito. So that is why also it's important to use the term environmental in its comprehensive form, diba? So comprehensive talaga dapat yung paggamit ng environmental sa environmental planning. Hindi lang siya basta natural environment, natural resources, but the totality of the land, water, and also built structures na nakapaligid sa tao.